welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Two Saints podcast show with myself, Mark C, and my co-host, Mark H. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm doing well, mate. Looking forward to getting into today's show. Lots to cover, on the eve of kickoff, and, excited, looking forward to the new season. Hopefully, Saints can make a positive start for only the fourth time in about 32 seasons.
That's right.
Totally. Let's hope so. And I hope all our listeners are looking after one another and, staying safe and keeping well.
Absolutely right, yeah. Echo those sentiments 100%. So just to remind everybody, we have an email address now that you can contact us on directly, and that email address is the Two Saints Podcast Show at outlook.com. That's the Two Saints Podcast Show at outlook.com. You can email us on there about the podcast or our broadcast version of the podcast or our Fantasy Premier League, which we're doing. So just to remind you, while I'm talking about the Fantasy Premier League, the code for that is LLV4C4. And you want to go on to there, and the name of the league is the Two Saints Podcast Show. So go on there and please join in, get involved in that. And if you like a bit of Fantasy Premier League, please join in and play against us all and with us all. We also have our YouTube channel on Two Saints Podcast Show. That's on YouTube. Check the podcast out on there. We've also got our Facebook page, the Two Saints Show. Go on there, you can get the podcast on there, or you can ask for a direct copy of it sent to you if you message us there. We're also now available, our podcast, via Apple Podcasts, Acast and Spotify. So we've been pretty busy getting out there across all platforms, as you can imagine. Anyway, coming up for you on today's show, we have Saints club news, other football news and transfers, Saints transfer news, and the Two Saints preview of Crystal Palace versus Saints. So we'll take a very brief break. We'll be straight back after that with Saints club news.
It's the Two Marks, C&H, on the Two Saints Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
Right, welcome back everybody. Saints club news. Southampton chief makes admission to fans amid strong message over Audi Sports. Saints ask fans to be patient about new shirt replacement. Under-23s report Saints nil Woking 1. Saints revamp Under-23s programme. Premier League 2 fixtures announced. Carabao Cup second round dates confirmed. September's Premier League matches to be broadcast live. Saints welcome Vitality as its official wellness partner. And that will take us up to the first break in today's show, which will be other football news coming up after that. So we'll go back to the very first article relating to Southampton Football Club's chief, Martin Semmens, making an admission regards to the shirt situation. Southampton were forced to end their partnership with Audi Sports last month. Saints CEO Martin Semmens sent a strong message about the deal. And the direct quotes we will get to were, right, it's important for our fans to know we will pursue them to the end of the earth until we get our money back for this season. It's important we found the right sponsor so we could move forward, he told The Athletic. Legal action is not being considered, it's already taken, it's something we have to do. They have a contract with us. We have commitments, they have commitments, and everybody else around us has followed through on their commitments. We expected them to do the same. It became very evident that a solution will take months, and we don't have months. We start playing in September. We'll continue pursuing them and find a solution that will help our club out, but we feel that will take months and not weeks. The deal, worth £7.5 million per year, brought with it plenty of scepticism from Saints fans, given the relatively unknown company who'd taken a high-profile sponsorship with the club. And the only other direct quote was, I think they've been proven right in terms of how Audi Sports behaved and how they've supported us as a partner, Semmens added. So that was regards to the fans correct to be wary about the deal. So he's basically admitting the fans are absolutely right about that. Yeah. Which is quite refreshing to hear, isn't it? It's not often you hear that. Your thoughts on it, Mark?
My thoughts are very straightforward, Mark, right?
Yeah.
He makes it sound like it's the film Gone with the Wind. We're going to pursue them to the ends of the earth.
That's right.
The thing is realistically, what chance have they got of recovering any money, by going down the legal route? I'd be very surprised that in the long run, they're actually going to end up getting any money back, and it's probably going to end up costing the club if they're going down the legal route. But all I would say is good luck to them, Mark. But my biggest issue is more the club dropped the ball on this one, because I'll just say to you, if it was the normal season, and the thing is I still would have been doing things normally. Forget about COVID, forget about the restart and everything else. I would have been picking up the phone on or around the 23rd of May and saying to the people, are you still on board for next season?
In fairness, there were stories circulating that there was actually a break clause in the contract. There actually wasn't a break clause in the contract. There was no break clause in that contract. So that story that circulated about that was actually incorrect. There wasn't actually a break clause, which makes it worse, to be fair.
I know you're going to go on to this, but what company? They're always good at bigging up themselves, right? But they're classic at dropping the ball, to be fair, right?
Yep.
I mean, the thing is, what company or what football club or what sports organisation, right, decides we're gonna go with LD Sports, even though we haven't heard from them for months.
Yep.
We're gonna put LD Sports on our new shirts.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
They must have had an inkling, because otherwise, whoever it was that was responsible for sponsorships weren't doing their job, because I would have been chasing that up straight away.
It is a huge cock up. Right, the CEO's confirmed, because we'll obviously talk about the shirts as well, because it's not just the sponsorship, obviously it's affected the shirt situation as well. And Martin Seven has confirmed the club are working towards a solution for those fans, with the chief executive pleading for patience and supporters as they look to try and resolve the issue. The direct quote was, "It was a very quick process to get things moving for the season," he told BBC Radio Solent Sport. "Fixing the merchandising issue is much more complicated. We looked at whether we can bring all the shirts back in and take the logos off, or put a sticker over the top. We've tried that and it doesn't work. So that leads you to the only real conclusion, which is we have to reprint the shirt. At the moment, we're looking into the viability of that, and all we can really say to the fans is please have a bit of patience with us, but we will get it done and you will get what you need, but we're still working through those finer details. This also probably means it will be a little while before new shirts appear in the shops. The club now have thousands of shirts they can't sell, 3 designs plus the goalkeeper's kits, and you can't just get that number of shirts manufactured and shipped over to the UK in a short period of time. Under Armour produce, or indeed any kit manufacturer produce kits in large numbers across the world. They have schedules, and to slot in big rush orders is not an easy task. Doesn't fill you with confidence for the start of the season, though, does it?"
No, I mean the only thing I would say is,
bearing in mind the season starts on the weekend.
They're doing the best job, I suppose, that they can. But the thing is, Mark, you've got a situation again where, okay, so say the printing was done before they were shipped over to England and everything else, right?
Yeah.
But I still think there was time, because if people had been working to the same time frames as what a normal season is, like I said, you would have been picking up that phone round about the end of May and saying, look, are you on board for next season? You know?
Absolutely.
And the other thing that I just want to say on them, you know, I want to say to the club, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the whole betting thing doesn't sit well with me, but I've accepted it now. I've moved on from it, because I accepted the club had a short time to find a new sponsor, and well done for doing that, because they're still probably going to be around £5 million out of pocket for the season, by the way, just on the sponsorship deal.
Absolutely right.
As I say, Mark, it's just disappointing, because we've had so many things happen with the shirts in recent seasons. You know, we had the fiasco of the shirt going, you know, being available for sale in Australia first, and being available on sale in Asia before it's available for sale in, you know, in Southampton itself. You know, and we've had other stuff where, you know, shirts haven't been out on sale until the 1st of September when the season's actually started. We're back to the same thing this season, and that's only just in the last three, 4 seasons. It's just, you just think to yourself, please, can we just get it right for the start of the season for once, in terms of the merchandise and the shirts and everything else?
Well, the thing is as well, you know, the fact that the CEO's admitted that the Saints fans were correct. You know, you're sitting there scratching your head going, well, if we saw it, why didn't the club?
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, I don't know if you listened to the interview that he gave. I'm not going to say, you know, where I listened to it. But, you know, he turned around and he was asked, did you do due diligence on the company? And he turned around and said yes, right? And nearly every Saints fan, the imam, was turning around and saying, I'm not sure about getting into bed with this start, because it was more or less a starter-up company.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know? Absolutely right. Yep. Anyway, we'll move on from there. We'll move on. News from the under-23s. Obviously, under-23s lost again. Neil Woking won. But some of the starters in that team, Will Ferry and Jake Hesketh were involved, Tom O'Connor involved, Harry Lewis involved, and Josh Sims involved. So quite a bit of experience there, I would say. A little bit worrying that they didn't get a result with those involved.
Yes, 100%.
Basically, the only goal of the game came through Woking's Jaden Wareham. Latched onto a cross and fired home from close range. So yeah, a little bit worrying that with all that experience in the under-23s, Mark, they're not getting results, are they?
I mean,
which is not a great thing.
The
it is pre-season, obviously.
For the under-23 team / B team, and we're now going to start calling it the B team because it's technical. But Mark, all I'll say is it's a disappointing start, pre-season wise. We're not. Yeah. I don't think they've had a win on the board yet.
That's right. Well, the thing is as well, it is a pathway, isn't it? In regards to that pathway, obviously the club are looking to revamp that, and they're looking to revamp the under-23s and turn it into a B team, which is so as part of that, it's a structural and philosophical overhaul at that level. So they were previously known the under-23s; they'll now be the B team. This is designed to create an approach that replicates the first team and in turn strengthens the prospect of the club's young players succeeding when they're given the opportunity of moving up to Ralph Hasenhüttl's squad. So it's trying to help them to succeed once they get into the first team, as opposed to breaking into the first team and not making the grade. So it's got to be a positive thing moving forward, surely. And it sounds as though obviously they're trying to get this philosophy that Ralph wants right way across the club. So moving forward, hopefully it'll improve the results for the B team, and hopefully it'll improve the section as a result, and obviously improve the academy. I think that's the hope, isn't it, going forward? That's all we can hope for ourselves, I guess.
To be honest with you, Mark, if he does it properly, like the way the old B teams used to be, it used to mean the people that weren't playing on the Saturday, who had been in, say, the first team squad or back in the day when you were on the bench, normally it meant that you played for the B team during the week or whatever. So, I mean, my hope is that people that aren't getting a game on the Saturday, that obviously qualify to play, you've got to be able to qualify to play as well. But those that qualify to play can play in a game during the week.
That's right.
That's my hope, because I have to tell you, they got promoted the previous season, but last season, the under-23s were lucky that COVID intervened because they were getting relegated.
Yep.
They never finished the season.
That's true.
They were getting relegated. In fact, I think they were bottom of the table.
Yeah, I was just actually looking up some of the details of it and what's been involved with the whole process. And it says Chief Executive Martin Semmens, Director of Football Operations Matt Crocker, and Hasenhüttl have worked together in creating the new approach alongside Academy Director Matt Howell, with Matt Crocker explaining the thinking behind the changes. And he said the club has a really successful player development system that stood the test of time and have produced many players up into the first team. However, the first team style of play is very different to what it's been previously. There was a real need from talking to both Martin and Ralph that we prepare the players in a different way to that. When they do step up and train or play with the first team, they're doing so with more confidence and a proper understanding of the sessions they're taking part in, as well as the system, tactics and style of play. When you're 18 or 19 and maybe only one player away from the first team, it's really important to have that alignment and clarity of your role, clarity of the team, and also the physical demands required so they have the toolkit to succeed. The under-23s has always been viewed as the pinnacle of the academy, but what we've tried to do here is make it more like a second team. It's not so much about youth development at this stage anymore, it's about replicating as much as possible a professional environment that prepares players for that step into the first team. It all fits into some of the wider things going on here, like the development of Southampton Football Club playbook, which again maps out every position, how we are with the ball and without it. What we don't want this to be seen as is a gimmick or a name change. It's not about what the team's called. It's about a move to help the young players be better prepared for playing for our club in the Premier League. So it's quite an in-depth statement he's made there. It tells you quite a lot.
All I would say, Mark, is to me it's not even just about, everything seems to be geared up about being able to step up when, as and when they're playing in the first team. They've got to turn around and try and improve the results of the B team alongside that. It's all right turning around and saying, we want to have a structure where everyone's playing the same sort of way, so that when they step up, I take it that they want everybody to understand that they're playing this way, so that it's easier for them to make the transition to the first team squad. But the thing is that's all well and good, but at the minute, do we have the players coming through, right, that are going to step up into the first team? And when you look at the performances of the under-23s and the fact that they're not winning games of football, you would have to say no.
But they're also saying that the advantages of the way they've set it up is by aligning the B team's approach and training with the first team, coaches and players can gain far more valuable insights into where a young player is actually at in terms of development. They're saying one really important aspect is how they're mapping data. They're creating physical data sets that mean if say, James Ward-Prowse is covering X amount of distance in a game, we can set those parameters for one of our young central midfielders and compare the data directly to him in every game and session. We can do that really accurately now because the sections and style of play are the same. So players can have a really clear idea of how close or far away they actually are to the relevant individual players in the first team. So that's basically a direct comparison they're going to be making now. So they've given everyone this is the bar you need to hit. That's the level you need to be at, which can only be a good thing, surely.
So here's the question mark, right? If they're not hitting that bar, right, and people don't sort of fancy them, right, does that mean to say that we're going to have less of the Lloyd Isgroves and less of the Harrison Reeds staying at the club to their 25 before they move on? Let's hope there's a quicker cut-off point.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But the thing is, you've got a lot of clubs where they don't have the academy and first team don't always join up from a philosophy point of view, and they're making sure that philosophy is the same right across the board. So hopefully that will be a good situation. Hopefully that will bear fruit. I think that's what they're.
The other thing I want to say is, Mark, it's not fair on the players. Being around a football club till you're 24, 25 years of age, and there's no chance of you getting into the first team squad, by the way.
Right. Absolutely
it's not fair on their development.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll move on to the next article, which obviously relates to the fact that the Premier League 2 fixtures for the 2020-21 season have been released. And these are, they begin on September the 11th, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home on the 18th of September, 22nd of September, Stevenage away in the EFL Trophy. September the 26th, West Ham United at home. Move on to October, 3rd of October, Tottenham Hotspur away. On the 6th, Northampton away in the EFL Trophy. On the 18th, Blackburn Rovers at home. On the 23rd, Derby County away. And on the 30th, Manchester United away. That moves you into November. On the 7th of November, Man City at home. 10th of November, MK Dons in the EFL Trophy away. Liverpool away on the 21st. Brighton and Hove Albion home on the 29th. Then in December, just the one fixture on the 14th with Leicester City away. In January, on the 10th, Everton at home. On the 17th, Arsenal at home. And on the 22nd, Chelsea away. And on the 29th, West Ham United away. On February the 7th, Tottenham Hotspur at home. February the 12th, Blackburn Rovers away. February 21st, Derby County at home. February 28th, Manchester United at home. March the 12th, Man City away. March the 21st, Liverpool home. April the 9th, Brighton and Hove Albion away. April the 18th, Leicester at home. And the final fixture, May the 2nd, Everton at home. So that's a full list of the league of the Premier League 2 fixtures for the coming season.
Yeah, just one quick thing, Mark, and then you can move on. But
absolutely,
all I would say is it's great to see that the games are going to be played at AFC Tottenham's Snooze Ground, right. Snooze Stadium, it's called. Yeah. But the thing is it'll give the players a chance of an environment, and hopefully, round about, let's say, next springtime, hopefully that, there'll be much more of an audience for them to be able to play in front of and get a feel of a sort of big match atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Which is important.
Yeah, definitely. Right, on to the Carabao Cup. Southampton will host Brentford in the second round of the Carabao Cup on Wednesday the 16th of September. The fixture will take place between Saints' opening 2 Premier League fixtures away to Crystal Palace and at home to Tottenham, kicking off at 7:45 British Standard Time. Meeting in the last regionalised round of the competition, it will be the first competitive meeting between the two sides since April 2011, when they were head-to-head in League One. Goals from Adam Lallana, David Connolly and Oscar Gobourn secured a 3-0 win for Saints at Griffin Park when they last played. Brentford, who lost the Championship playoff final last month, remained under the stewardship of Thomas Frank and beat league rivals Wycombe Wanderers on penalties in the first round. And if Saints manage to get past Brentford, it looks as though, Mark, they're going to be playing either West Brom or Harrogate in the next round.
Yes, I mean, all I would say is it's a mouthwatering match, really, mate, given, Brentford was playing some brilliant stuff in the Championship last season. And, you would hope basically that Ralph's going to put out as strong a side as he can, and at least go for it. But it's a mouth-watering tie. It's a shame that the fans aren't in the stadium for it. Also, of course, it would seem now that it isn't going to be a test event. I think the club had hoped that they were going to use that as the test event, for fans being able to go in and watch the first team. But
yeah, that's right.
It seems like that won't be happening. But as I say, and then in regards to the next round, I mean, it's either Premier League newcomers, West Brom, or a bit of a romantic trip away to Harrogate. Boy, I wish I was going there. That would be an interesting one. Although I think they're sharing grounds at the minute with Doncaster Rovers. So
part of me hopes we get past Brentford and we play Harrogate, because from their point of view, it'd be great for them financially. Yeah. And I think a lot of low league teams do suffer in that respect in the cup competitions. So I'd like to see us go there and let them earn a bit of money, to be fair.
Yeah, well, like I said, if Harrogate does turn over West Brom, it'll be played at Doncaster Rovers Keep Note Stadium.
Yeah, I'm saying that, we've got to get past Brentford first. That was no easy task. Thank God they got rid of Ollie Watkins.
That'd be easy.
That's a threat.
Well, that's why I said let's hope he's going to put out a really strong side. Put out his strongest team. Let's go.
Yeah, if I could give Ralph any advice for this season, it would be in the cup competitions, Ralph, put out your strongest team and go for it. Actually try and win the damn thing. It worked in 76. It could actually work now.
Yeah, I mean, you never seen Laurie Mack put out a weekend side.
Exactly that. Well, look how well we did in the 80s under that sort of stewardship and under that kind of philosophy.
And you had
did all right, didn't we?
You had a lot less options as well, Mark.
Well,
there was none of this squad of 25 or 26 players.
Well, the thing is, not only did we do well and win the 76 World Cup with that sort of World Cup, FA Cup, World Cup. Not only did we win the 76 FA Cup with that philosophy, but we very nearly beat Liverpool to the title, didn't we, with that philosophy as well?
Exactly.
So, that philosophy clearly works.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. That wraps that one up really, really nicely. Right, moving on. So we'll move on to the next story. September's Premier League matches to be broadcast live. At Premier League shareholder meeting today, clubs agreed all 28 matches scheduled to be played in September will be broadcast live in the UK, which means as a result, Southampton's opening day trip to Crystal Palace at 3 p.m. British Standard Time on Saturday will now be shown live on BT Sport. Sky Sports and BT Sport have already selected 17 matches for live broadcast for the first 3 match rounds of the season, including Saints' first home match of the campaign against Tottenham on the 20th of September, also to be shown live on BT Sport. Of the remaining matches, Sky Sports will broadcast an additional 6, BT Sport a further 3, and BBC and Amazon Prime Video 1 each. The Premier League's also in discussions with BBC Radio 5 Live and TalkSport to agree a similar solution for break. So Saints' first 3 Premier League fixtures: Saturday the 12th of September, 3 p.m. British Standard Time, live on BT Sport. Saturday the 20th of September, 12 noon British Standard Time, Saints v Tottenham, live on BT Sport. Saturday 26th September, 3 p.m. British Standard Time, Burnley versus Southampton, broadcasted to be confirmed. So there we go. It's your first set of football fix on TV for everyone. And don't forget, if you're an EE customer, you can actually access BT Sport.
Yeah, well, I'll be listening to it on the radio, mate.
Me too.
But it's good. Look, it's good news for everybody. At the end of the day, it means hopefully that the majority of Saints fans now will have access to actually watch their club's games throughout September. Hopefully they extend it, because we don't know what the situation is going to be going into October. But we'll see. But it is good news for all football fans, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Premier League fans especially.
Yeah, well, definitely. And more good news, talking of well-being and stuff like that, Saints welcome Vitality as its official wellness partner. Innovative health and life insurance and investment company Vitality has partnered with Southampton Football Club as its wellness partner. Echoing Saints' commitment to turn potential into excellence, the partnership will build on Vitality's core purpose, to make people healthier and to enhance and protect their lives. Neville Kupovitz, the CEO of Vitality, said, "We will work closely with the club to drive visibility of both the women and men's game and support people to live more active and healthier lives." David Thomas, Chief Commercial Officer at Southampton Football Club, said, "We're very proud to announce a new partnership with Vitality. They're a business we admire, and their standout approach to encourage active behaviours and rewarding customers who live healthier lives is something that sets them apart from their competitors in this space. We are particularly excited by their commitment to activate the partnership across our women's team and look forward to working together." And the CEO of Vitality said, "Our commitment to the women's game of the club recognises the stark difference in how physically active men and women are and how COVID-19 has further exacerbated that. There's never been a more important time for us all to get behind women's football. We hope by working together with Southampton Football Club, we can start to address this gender play gap by inspiring many more women and girls to keep and stay active." Good. Vitality members and Saints fans will also have access to a number of club-related benefits throughout the season. So there we go.
Right. Well, anyway, I mean, it's good news that the club have obviously picked Vitality up as a partner. I mean, it tends to follow on from the work for me, and I think this is part of the reason why the club's teamed up with them. It follows on from the good work that the Saints Foundation have done, because they've always championed sort of healthy lifestyle and right. Being active and initiatives like that. So it's good that the club now have a partner like that.
Absolutely.
Going forward.
Definitely, absolutely, I agree with that. Right, well, that brings us to the end of the Saints news section of the show. So we'll take a very short break. When we come back from that, we'll be doing other football news and transfers.
It's Mark C and Mark H. Mark my word, they're here with everything in the Two Saints show.
Right, welcome back everybody. So, other football news and transfers. Aston Villa have signed Nottingham Forest defender Matty Cash, right back Matty Cash, from Nottingham Forest for £16 million on a 5-year contract. They've also signed Ollie Watkins for a club record fee. Ready everybody? Aston Villa have also completed the signing of striker Ollie Watkins from Brentford for a club record fee of £28 million, which could rise to £33 million with add-ons. So, 2 really good signings for Villa, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at last season, they brought in basically a new squad. I mean, I think they brought in 14 new players, and they were from round the globe. So straight away, you're thinking, he's going to have Dean Smith. He's going to have problems sort of gelling the team together when you got that many new faces coming into a football club, and I think the ban policy this time round's the right one. They've gone for young, hungry players in the championship. And players obviously who have had good seasons from last season. It's all about whether they can make the step up, Mark. One of the interesting things, I mean, Matt Cash, you'd say, hopefully that's a solid, transfer for them. But one of the interesting things is the Ollie Watkins transfer, right? Exeter have a clause in there, right? And as a result of him moving to Aston Villa for £28 million, right, they're due to get £4 million from sell-on, right? And it's the biggest amount of money they've ever received from a transfer fee. That is fantastic.
There you go, Saints FC. That's how you do a sell-on clause.
So yeah, Exeter City, the fans of Exeter City must be glowing at the moment. £4 million.
Yeah, we're talking about the most amount of money ever. Chelsea, off the back of signing Kepa Arrizabalaga from Atletico Bilbao for £71.6 million in 2018, have now gone out on a limb, spent the same amount almost again. Chelsea have signed Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Kai Havertz for £71 million. That deal actually includes add-ons, and that is a 5-year contract. Huge money, £71 million, Mark. Mind you, he's some player, isn't he?
It is huge money. I mean, the thing is I suppose it's important to say that, you know, it's a new week and another new Chelsea signing. You know, they're signing players every week. That's how it feels since the transfer window opened. But in all seriousness, I mean, when you look at him, Mark, and, you know, the assists that he provides and everything like that there, you think quality signing. But then, you know, part of me being a Saints fan, I sort of sit there and I go, I wouldn't pay 71 million quid for him, like, but right. I mean, I tell you what, Frank Lampard, I mean, I read an article where he's saying he's loving the pressure, bringing in all these players and making sure that they produce next season. But I tell you what, he's under pressure with the money that he's spending. I mean, what I would say is people need to remember that it was easy. It was easy for Chelsea to go out and spend the money. They had money from the previous transfer window that they hadn't spent, and then obviously they had the embargo where they couldn't go out and spend any money. So effectively they had transfer money from the previous season, and then they've got this season's, you know, budget and everything else. And that's probably why they're able to go out and spend the fortune that they have done. I mean, I took great note of what Klopp said whenever he turned around and said, you know, even though you're talking about a club the stature of Liverpool, you know, he's even turned around and come out and said now in public that Liverpool can't, you know, even afford to be spending the kind of money that Chelsea are currently spending, you know. So Frank is, I mean, he said he thrives off the pressure, but he'd be under pressure next season, mate, I tell you.
Yeah, that would be expecting him to deliver. So talking of teams being under pressure for spending, you know, decent amounts on players, 3 signings for Everton. They've actually signed Brazilian Allen for 21 million on a 3-year contract. The fee is believed to be £21.7 million. They've also signed James Rodriguez from Spanish giants Real Madrid. The fee is believed to be 12 million. That's a 2-year contract with the option of an extra year, I believe. And Everton have also signed Watford midfielder Abdoulaye Doucouré on a 3-year contract for a fee understood to be 20 million. So 61 odd million quid there they spent in free players. So they'll be under a little bit of pressure to perform as well, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Alan, the first signing, Alan, he's obviously came in from Napoli. You know, he's had a few good seasons there. He is a good player. You know, whether he can sort of reproduce that form for Everton obviously remains to be seen. I would have thought he could. You know, the thing is they've got a fairly decent midfielder now. I'm still not sure about their forward line. I mean, I think they're very heavily reliant on Richarlison, if I'm honest, the Brazilian. And obviously, you know, the good thing is you know, Alan's Brazilian himself. So hopefully they'll be able to strike up a relationship or a partnership. James Rodriguez, I mean, he's on the down escalator, mate. He exploded on the scene in the World Cup, and obviously, you know, he went to Real Madrid and he's been there for years now. You know, he got loaned out to some of the biggest clubs in Europe, one of which was Bayern Munich. Yep. You know, and the thing is like he's flattered to deceive, really. So the thing is, Ancelotti's worked with him before. I think, you know, and I suppose the hope would be that obviously he was able to bring probably the best out of him of all the managers that have worked with him. So Everton will be hoping obviously that Ancelotti can do the same thing again. But obviously if they can get the best out of him, you know, it's a cracking player for very little of a transfer fee, but I'd imagine he's on steep wages, you know. And then we come to everybody's favourite basketball player, you know, Mr. Doucouré. I mean, all I'll say about Mr. Doucouré is that his basketball skills is definitely better than his football skills. No, I'm joking, Mark. I mean, funnily enough, Everton have been pursuing Doucouré for the last couple of seasons, and they finally got their man, obviously, because Watford have been relegated, and he actually said in an interview that, he'd been waiting for the opportunity to go to Everton for a few seasons now. So he's got his wish. It'd be interesting to see how they go. Because, I mean, they have signed one or two interesting players there for sure. So it'd be interesting to see how they go this season.
Leicester City, we're moving on to now. Leicester City have signed Belgian fullback Timothy Castanet from Atalanta on a 5-year deal. The 24-year-old scored 5 goals in 76 appearances for the Serie A side, who he joined from Genk in 2017. The move is for an undisclosed fee and is subject to Premier League and international clearance. So that's Timothy Castanet, Belgian fullback. Quite versatile, can play in several positions, and that obviously follows Ben Chilwell's departure to Chelsea.
Yeah, so he can operate anywhere on the left-hand side down the wing as well. All I'd say is good signing for Leicester. Obviously, Belgium international, as you say, signed from Atalanta, 5-year contract. Just be interesting to see how he goes. My own feeling is that, Leicester always find interesting because when they won the Premier League, they went mental that summer. They spent over £100 million in transfers. But ever since that, so basically since the summer of 2017, they've been very selective on their targets and very clued up on the targets that they've brought in, mate. The likes of, Dennis Pratt and, one or two others. Tillemans is another one. Yeah. Jordi Tillemans. And they've been quite shrewd in the sense that they don't go out, they target their players. They might spend a bit, it might cost them a little bit more money, but they target their players, and normally they only bring in 1 or 2 in a season, Absolutely
right. Right, we'll move on to Newcastle United. Newcastle signed former Bournemouth pair Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser. Newcastle United have signed Callum Wilson on a 4-year deal from Bournemouth for $20 million. And obviously Ryan Fraser was a free agent and he signed a 5-year contract after leaving the Cherries at the end of June. So that's 2 of those. And Newcastle have also signed Jamal Lewis from Norwich City on a 5-year contract. So that's 3 signings for Newcastle. And the fee for Jamal Lewis it's a 5-year contract and it's $15 million rising to $20 million with add-ons. So 3 signings for Newcastle, Mark.
Yeah,
although Ryan Fraser's rattled a few feathers and Simon Jordan's been quite vocal in what he thinks of him.
Anyway, just to say, if you're a Bournemouth fan, firstly, I think, if it was me, Mark, I'd be putting the flags out, to be honest with you.
Wilson's on £100,000 a week there. I'm not surprised, Mark.
Yeah, well, exactly. In an 11,500 seater stadium, and obviously, it was a priority to get him off the books. I'd be very surprised if by the window the likes of, Josh King hasn't gone. But obviously, it is a good arena and platform for Callum Wilson maybe to rediscover his goal scoring touch, which deserted him last season. I mean, one of the reasons why Bournemouth managed to keep going in the Premier League for as long as they did was that they had goal scorers in their team, right? Because if you look at their defensive record, they always shed a load of goals every season. But the fact that they had people that were scoring goals up front for them, Anyway, moving on to Ryan Fraser. I just want to say again, if you're a Bournemouth fan, it'd be a relief that he's actually moved on after refusing, a contract to play, when restart happened. Yeah. And the thing is, Mark, I actually think Ryan Fraser's done himself a disservice because there was clubs like Arsenal and Tottenham interested, which is, no disrespect to Newcastle, but it's slightly higher grade, right?
Yep.
But the fact that those sort of clubs seen that he wasn't prepared to play for Bournemouth, I think they've looked at that and they've turned around and said, we're not, touching him with a barge pole because he's not committed.
Yep.
I mean, and all I would say on that is that, he's probably downscaled a little bit from the sort of move that he would have expected, but he's gone to Newcastle. It's an opportunity for him again. It's on a big enough stage because Ryan Fraser is a good footballer when he's fit. It's like David Brooks.
I'd be a little concerned as a Newcastle fan looking at Ryan Fraser going, he didn't want to stand up and be counted when it mattered with Bournemouth. Can you rely on him to stand up and be counted when Newcastle really need him? I'm not sure you can. Let's hope he proves everyone wrong.
Well, I think he's going to have to up his game because, look, moving from Bournemouth to Newcastle is still a big move, mate, and the thing is he'll want to get the supporters on side as much as possible. And there's no doubting that Ryan Fraser is a good footballer. He is.
We all know Newcastle fans are exceptionally passionate, and if he doesn't get them on side quick, he's going to know about it.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I don't want to dump Newcastle down too much, but there's a perfect stage for those two. In Callum Wilson's case, to find his goal scoring touch again, and then for Ryan Fraser to actually remind people that he is actually a good footballer.
That's right.
And then we'll come to Jamal Lewis. I'm really pleased for him, mate. Obviously I've got an interest because he plays for Northern Ireland, and it's a good move for him. Hopefully it'll help his development, and hopefully off the back of this move he become one of the best left backs in the Premier League.
Right. Sheffield United have completed 3 signings, which is good news to them as well. So Sheffield United have signed Jayden Bogle, Max Lowe and Ethan Ampadu from Chelsea. They have actually made 4 signings because they've actually done a swap deal with West Brom as well. So Oliver Burke from West Brom has joined them and Callum Robinson's gone the other way. Yeah. So they've actually made 4 signings. Yeah. So what do you make of those, Mark?
Well,
Ethan Ampadu is probably the most well-known.
Basically, Derby, the 2 lads that have come in, Max Lowe from Derby, and he plays on the right-hand side or left-hand side. It's either way round with the 2 of them. And to be honest with you, they're both signings where it's about easing them in to the first-team squad. Mark, they're both quite young. Both of them have had good exposure for Derby at the championship level. And obviously, the manager, Chris Wilder's probably looked at that and thought to himself, well, let's bring in, 1 or 2 young players and sort of build the squad up a bit as well in the fullback positions because they're both left and right fullback. So that's those 2. Then we've got Nathan Ampadu. I mean, you can't say enough about him. I mean, he was on loan last season, I think at Red Bull Leipzig. He definitely went over to Germany for a loan deal anyway. And I'm not sure that he got as much exposure as what he was probably hoping to get. So obviously with moving to Sheffield United, I mean, I'm expecting, although they've got a fairly settled backline, I'm expecting to see him sort of, definitely get more exposure there than, because he's not going to get the exposure at Chelsea. And anybody who's seen his performances, I mean, Wales won both their international games in the Nations League, and he played both games, and he didn't look out of place for one so young. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of him in the Premier League next season with Sheffield United.
Yeah, definitely, let's hope so. So moving on to West Brom. West Brom have actually made 3 deals. So Callum Robinson's actually joined West Brom from Sheffield United, with Oliver Burke going to Sheffield United from West Brom. West Ham's captain Mark Noble says he's gutted, angry and sad after West Brom have signed West Ham winger Grady Diangana, hell of a player he is. And West Brom have also signed goalkeeper David Button from fellow Premier League club Brighton for an undisclosed fee. So obviously, swap deal, pretty straightforward markets to swap deal.
Yeah.
Not normally awful lot
so
involved.
Just covering all of that, Mark, right? Basically, just going back on Oliver Burke going to Sheffield United. I mean, he's had a stop-start career, mate. I mean, he was at Nottingham Forest and they'd earmarked him as the next big international thing, right? And then he went off to Germany. Again, I believe he was at Leipzig. He signed for Leipzig. And I don't know what, but it all kind of went wrong when he was over in Germany. And then he came back and signed for West Brom. And again, that move hasn't worked out. But obviously, Chris Wilder's seen something there. He wants to take him on. I mean, I don't think he become a bad player necessarily overnight. So hopefully he can bring the best out in him again. All I would say as well is, talking about the Callum Robinson deal, I mean, it's a bit of a strange one, but obviously I think it was more to do with the opportunity that Oliver Burke became available. But Callum Robinson's only actually been at Sheffield United for a season. So, he moved last summer. So he's moving to West Brom this summer. He went on loan to West Brom for a period of time, obviously towards the end of last season, and helped them get promoted. So I'm sure West Brom know the player. The thing is they know the player that they're getting. Yep. So obviously, they feel like he can go in there and do a job for them. So good luck to him. Again, he was playing international football during the week there for the Republic of Ireland, and seemed to do quite well.
That's the reason they've gone for Grady Diangana as well. Obviously, he was on loan with them last season, happened promotion to the Premier League, and he's actually joined them for a fee of 18 million, Mark. Yeah, hell of a signing for West Brom. He's a great player, isn't he?
This one baffles me, mate, because you've got, West Ham's club captain Mark Noble's up in arms about it. The West Ham fans are beside themselves, right? And everything I've read about him says that he's earmarked for one of the, one for the future, and yet West Ham have decided to sell him. I mean, very, very strange that you would sell such a good prospect, an English to boot.
Yeah,
so obviously they must feel, that there's something there and they've got good money for him. But as I say, hopefully he can. I think West Brom are going to be really reliant on him next season. I mean, if you looked at his assists and goals for them last season, he was a key reason for them getting promoted last season. So, I think West Brom will be hoping and praying that he produces the same for them during, the Premier League season.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll move on to the third signing. West Brom have signed David Button from Premier League club Brighton for an undisclosed fee.
Yeah, I mean, all I would say there, Mark, is obviously he's been signed as a backup keeper. He may play the odd Premier League game, but I suppose, when you look at West Brom's squad, it's a decent enough signing for them as a number 2 goalkeeper.
I see you right. Yep, we'll move on to the next one. So 2 signings for Wolves. Wolves have signed Fabio Silva from Porto, who's a striker. From Porto for 35.6 million. So 35.6 million for the 18-year-old Fabio Silva from Porto. That's on a 5-year deal. And they've also signed defender Marcal from Lyon. He's come in. He's a little bit older. He's 31 years old. He signed a 2-year contract at Wolves for a fee of 1.78 million. So 2 separate ends of the spectrum there with 2 different signings. 18-year-old for 35.6 and a 31-year-old for 1.78.
Yeah, so the 31-year-old operates on the left-hand side. I think he's a left-back primarily, but he can operate anywhere along that left-hand side. the young guy, the striker, it baffles me, Mark. The money that they're paying, right? I don't know if you've looked at his record, right?
I haven't actually.
But he hasn't scored that many goals, and you're sort of sat there going, he must be a hell of a player for them to be signing him. But then he's termed as a striker, and yet he hasn't scored that. I think he's only scored one goal.
Absolutely.
And you sort of, when you see a signing like that, you sort of think to yourself, well, he must be a hell of a player, or is there something more sinister going on? But, look, it's a well-tried market for Wolves. The Iberian market, the Spanish, Portuguese connection, Jordi Mendes, all the rest of it. And let's be honest, most of the players that they've signed from them, they've all turned to be goal players for Wolves. Pardon the pun.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this young lad turns it on. But be interesting to see how both of them go coming into the new season.
100%. So we move on to the following story after that one, which is PFA Player of the Year. Man City midfielder Kevin De Bruyne has won the Professional Footballers Association Men's Players Player of the Year award. De Bruyne praised City manager Pep Guardiola for helping her earn the honour, saying he just lets me be me. And Beth England, 26, won the Women's Award, having helped Chelsea do the Women's Super League and League Cup double.
Yeah, well, I mean, well done to both of them. The only thing I would say is I'm not saying that Kevin De Bruyne didn't deserve the award, mate, but it's a bit of a strange one because Man City only won the League Cup this season, and normally, the PFA Player of the Year normally is, from a team that's won the league. So, I think some of the Liverpool players that may have been in contention there might feel slightly aggrieved. But, but no, I mean, at the end of the day, personally, I suppose De Bruyne had a good season himself. I just didn't think that, I think he's had better seasons for Man City, and Man City overall have had better seasons. So I just thought it was a strange choice from that point of view. But, I mean,
I'd agree with that.
Well done to both of them.
Definitely. Right, move on to the next story. Premier League TV rights. The Premier League has terminated its £564 million contract with its Chinese licensee with immediate effect. It's understood the reasons for the termination are financial rather than political. China was the English top flight's most lucrative overseas television rights territory, with a 3-season deal agreed in 2019. That deal has been cut off at the knees, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think it had to. It sort of smacks of the relationship that Saints have had with LD Sports, if I'm honest, mate. I mean, the thing is again, it was a situation where the Premier League was waiting for payment and nothing was forthcoming. But, it's a case of don't cry for me, Argentina. Don't be feeling sorry for the Premier League, because I guarantee you they're probably already in talks with a replacement suitor, and they won't be hurt too badly. Yeah. Okay, they may not get the money originally that the Chinese had promised, but I can guarantee you that they won't be hurting too badly. The Premier League.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, moving on to the next story. All 28 Premier League fixtures in September will be televised live, with Leicester City's home match against Burnley to be broadcast on the BBC. Sky Sports and BT have selected 17 games across the first 3 rounds of matches in the new season. Of the remaining 11, Sky will show 6, BT Sport 3, BBC and Amazon Prime will 1 each. And those working on Watch For My Team this weekend will be everyone's question, so it's the following. Fulham versus Arsenal, 12:30 British Standard Time, BT Sport on 12th September, Saturday. Crystal Palace versus Southampton, 3 o'clock live on BT Sport. Liverpool versus Leeds United, 5:30 live on Sky Sports. West Ham Newcastle United, 8 o'clock live on Sky. Sunday 13th, West Brom versus Leicester City, 2 p.m. Sky Sports. Tottenham versus Everton, live on Sky Sports, 4:30. Monday the 14th, Sheffield United versus Wolves, 6 p.m. live on Sky Sports, and Brighton Chelsea live on Sky Sports, 8:15. So that'd be your first set of fixtures over the Premier League opening weekend, leading up to Monday, with the TV coverage and which channels are on.
Indeed. Nothing to say on that because we've already covered it.
Next situation of what's happening about Premier League season tickets. So very simply, we'll run you through what each club is doing, and we'll finish up on that one. So Arsenal season ticket holders and premium members need to make an initial payment to renew, and that will see them go into a ballot for reduced capacity games. There's also the option to take a season ticket holiday. Those that do will retain the option to renew if/once they return to full capacity in the 2020-21 season, or if they want to wait till the 2021-22 season before returning. So the initial payment is equivalent to behind closed doors credit. Aston Villa have not put any season tickets on sale yet. Will inform supporters of the way they will allocate seats as and when plans to return to football are finalised. Brighton have a 12-month rolling contract for their season ticket holders, which renews in February with the first payment taken in April. During lockdown, fans paid for renewals for this season, but could take a 3-month payment holiday if wanted. Payments have been frozen. Money already paid this season will be converted into a cash balance from which, if fans return, Brighton will take the cost of a ticket from those selected to attend games via an automatic ballot. Any credit left can be used towards the following season's ticket. Burnley season ticket sales at Burnley are believed to be at a similar level to last season, having gone on sale in March. Club are finalising all options regarding refunds and how they'll allocate tickets when capacity is reduced. They should be announcing that next week. Chelsea season tickets at Chelsea have not gone on sale for this season yet. The club will announce their policy, which will include directives on possible return of fans once the decision has been made. Crystal Palace have only recently started their season ticket renewal process. Any season tickets not taken up will be put on general sale. Prices are reduced from last season by the equivalent of 2 games, as they'll play 2 home games before any possible return of fans. Fans with credit on their accounts can use it towards the following season's ticket. If and when supporters are allowed to attend games, Palace will allocate tickets and take pro rata value off the season ticket. Anyone in credit at the end of the season can use it towards their following season's ticket. Fans who are shielding can pay £200 to hold their seat, with the cost going towards their ticket for the following season. Everton season ticket renewal window at Everton closed on the 28th of July. Renewal surpassed 30,500, the figure equated to a renewal rate of 98%. The club added that season ticket members will be able to claim a pro rata refund for any fixtures that take place behind closed doors. They also plan to provide further details on the pro rata refund process in due course. Fulham are not running a renewal process for season tickets for the 2020-21 season. With the possibility fans may be able to return at reduced capacity from October, there will be a ballot with 2019-20 season ticket holders initially given priority. Leeds United are yet to respond. Leicester City fans can renew season tickets with a fixed initial payment which can be used against pro rata cost when full capacity resumes. If Premier League matches are played with a reduced capacity, tickets will be allocated via a ballot process by the club. Season ticket holders will get 90% of the general admission tickets available, with members getting the other 10%. Any credit left on accounts will be rolled over to use for the 2020-21-22 campaign. Liverpool have temporarily suspended season ticket sales for the 2020-21 season. The club will initially sell tickets for games on a match-by-match basis, if and when fans are allowed back. The club will issue further details for the purchase of seats by season ticket holders and qualifying members once there's more clarification as to how the season will proceed. Man City, there are no season tickets at Man City for the 2020-21 season, but they are offering last year's season ticket holders the chance to enter a ballot. More details expected soon. Anyone not wishing to enter the ballot will be unaffected when it comes to renewing for the following season. Man United are committing to offering fans support and flexibility as they finalise their season ticket plans for the year ahead. For matches where there is restricted capacity, tickets will be distributed in a fair and equitable way. Finally, the overall priority is to create a safe environment at the stadium for fans, players and staff. Details to be announced soon. Newcastle have not yet put up any season tickets for sale. The club say they will not be issuing refunds to supporters on long-term price freeze deals who've already paid for their 2020-21 season ticket in full or made part payment. Sheffield United season tickets to Sheffield United have not yet gone on sale for the campaign. If and when they do, holders from last season will have pro rata credit from the final 4 league fixtures of the campaign. Southampton have currently surpassed 80% of their 2019-20 total in season ticket sales, which is above what the club anticipated given the situation and uncertainty. Fans who also had pro rata credit have had it applied to their accounts for the final 4 home games of last season where applicable. They've frozen prices and offered a £35 club voucher to those that renew, as well as introducing a 3-month instalment plan to pay. Southampton will provide a pro rata refund for any fixture played without fans, with season ticket holders receiving priority for any ballot should fans return at a reduced capacity. Tottenham season ticket holders need to make an initial payment of 20% to renew. While this includes all the benefits of one Hotspur membership, this is non-refundable. Those that renew will be able to enter a fair and even-handed ballot. For fans who can't attend because of coronavirus medical circumstances, Spurs say they may make the initial payment of 20% and apply to have their seat reserved for the following season. West Brom yet to respond. West Ham are understood to have seen strong season ticket renewal rates in the lead up to Friday's deadline. They're giving fans three options to renew. First is to renew, second is to renew and transfer a season ticket to a family member or friend for either part or whole of the season. Those renewing will be put into an automatic ballot for and if when fans can return at a reduced capacity. If not selected, they'll be automatically refunded the pro rata value of the match. Wolves have not put any season tickets on sale. Plans to communicate to fans how this season will work regarding tickets in the coming weeks. The Football Supporters Association statement was, every club will face different circumstances. We believe it's crucial supporters groups receive genuine consultation from clubs in relation to ticketing policy.
Okay, Mark. So basically, the reason why, I just thought it was important that supporters got an overview. Saints fans got an overview of what other, Premier League clubs were doing. Yes, I mean, just from what you read out, mate, I've got to say that what stands out for me in what you've just read out is the fact that a lot of the Premier League clubs aren't even selling season tickets. And indeed, they're only charging their supporters, basically whenever they go into the stadium and watch a game of football, So I understand that it's different situations. I mean, my own personal situation is I renewed, right? But I've now been told that I could have took a holiday for this season, right? Effectively, I wouldn't have lost my seat for the season, right? I could have turned around and not paid the money for this season, right? And then renewed next season, and still had the same seat. People have been allowed to take a holiday, but that wasn't, because I was one of the first to renew, that wasn't put forward to me as an option whenever because I was one of the first to renew, it wasn't put forward as an option.
Yeah, get that. Right, well, I think that brings us to the end of that section quite nicely. So, very temporary break we're going to take, and when we come back, we'll be doing Saints transfer news.
Every Thursday at midday to 2 p.m, join Mark C and Mark H for the Two Saints Show. Follow Southampton with pre-match previews and updates from St Mary's live on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday with the two Marks. Be there or be rectangular.
Right, welcome back, everybody. Saints transfer news. Olivier Ntcham to Southampton. Celtic asking price Lyon and Porto competition. Southampton want just $3.5 million for former club record signing. There is a La Liga side interested. Southampton staff financially out of reach for interested club. Jones completes whole transfer, and Yannick Vestergaard speaks out on his Southampton future after transfer links. So Olivier Ntcham, Mark's back on the radar.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's a bit like Saints in relation to the central midfield, Mark. It's a bit like Saints are taking part in the Grand National, right? And all these players that they're being linked with, they're fallers basically because they're moving to other clubs or they're signing new contracts, right? And obviously, Olivier Ntcham has come back on the radar because basically, it's assumed that, he wants to move on from Celtic and we're one of the suitors. I mean, I've seen in the article also that, I think Lyon were interested, and I think it was Benfica or somebody like that have expressed an interest in him. I've seen yesterday, that we've been linked with Chowdhury from Leicester. I mean, I'd be much more keen to sort of take him on board. And I think if we were to get him, I don't want to bring you down at all, but if we were to get him, it would only be on the loan for the season, which would probably, I'm trying to negate the way Saints think here, but that would probably seem more suitable to Saints.
Absolutely.
Because obviously Leicester would want to give him the game time, but Brendan Rodgers has a lot of options there. So maybe you'd send them out on loan to another Premier League club and getting proper exposure of hopefully playing week in, week out. So the thing is the Nishan thing, I just think his name's popped up again because he's still one of those runners and riders that's looking for a new club.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. We'll move on to the next article. Southampton want just $3.5 million for former club record signing. So, Sofiane Boufal is another one who's failed to live up to the hype, and if the latest report is to be believed, he's one of those Southampton are looking to sell this summer. Real Betis apparently interested.
Yeah,
the money and run?
To be honest with you, I know he's a bit of a fan's favourite. You know, he really knuckled down this season, you know, and tried to produce the goods. You know, I had no problem with his commitment at all and sort of getting on with things and stuff like that. And all I would say is it might make sense for the club to actually cut their losses with him in the sense that, you know, he can change games for you, but he's not a consistent performer. And the fact that he's on 65 grand a week, you know, I think if they could get that off the wage bill, that would be a good thing for Saints. Right. And that isn't casting any dispersions against Sofiane, because I was a bit of a fan. You know, he's become a bit of a cult hero at the club. But I just think it would be good if Saints did cut their losses, especially from the wages point of view, because that's a lot of money.
Absolutely right. So, Southampton star financially out of reach for interested club. Southampton defender Wesley Hoots currently too expensive for Anderlecht to look at bringing in. Shocker. Another loan.
I mean, Mark, all I'll say is a few weeks ago, Wesley made it known to everybody that there were clubs that were interested, right? Now, sadly, we've all come to realise that there are clubs interested, but they can't afford them. Because there's two trains of thought. You could turn around and say Saints are asking too much of a transfer fee for him in the first instance, but also he won't drop his wage demands. So how does he expect to get out of a Saints contract if he's not prepared to drop his wage demands to these other clubs? Because the clubs that are showing an interest can't afford the same sort of wages that the Premier League clubs are paying him.
Yep.
You know? And I just, absolutely crazy situation, Mark, because, again, it's another Saints player who will go out on loan for next season, or for this season, and next season he's in the final year of his contract. And will we get rid of him next summer? Unlikely, because the player wants to sit there while he's on a big high wage.
Absolutely right. Absolutely spot on. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Well, I'll move on to the next article now. Defender Alfie Jones has completed a permanent transfer from Southampton to Hull City. The 22-year-old academy graduate departs St Mary's for the League One side ahead of the new season.
Good. I mean, all I'll say, Mark, is good luck to him, because, you know, he unfortunately for Alfie Jones, he was never going to make it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know he came on once or twice for us. You know, he's been in a few match day squads and things like that. But in all honesty, he was never going to make the grade at the football club.
No, I get that. Absolutely right.
But I wish him well.
Yeah, good luck, Alfie Jones. Right, on the next story regards Saints transfers, Yannick Vestergaard. It seems Yannick Vestergaard is going to be remaining at Southampton. So he's obviously insisted that he still wants to be part of Southampton squad moving forward, despite being linked with a move away. He played 21 times for Ralph Hasenhüttl's men last season, in spite of his desire to continue at Saints ahead of the new season. We've agreed I'll continue as at the end of the season. The coach has been very pleased with my and the team's development, and with the increased focus on ball possession, I think he sees me having a bigger role. That's the focus right now. Just as football can go fast in terms of transfers, it can also go fast in terms of who plays and who doesn't. It's all about performance, so I did well towards the end of the season. I have to confirm that again, but I believe in it and I want to play as much as possible. I also know we have healthy competition, and at the end of the season we played roughly the same amount all 3 games, myself, Stevens and Benrick. I feel good about that competition and thrive in it. It'll also sharpen our performance. So there we go. That was what you had to say directly about that.
All I would say to you, Mark, is drat, and I told you so.
Yeah.
Right, I told you so. Right, I mean, all we can hope is that, you know, the Queen Mary's turning circle has improved, you know, at the start of the season, and he's been concentrating maybe on in getting a little bit of pace. Maybe he's sort of bought some jet skis over the break. So, you know, but I mean, I think it was always on the cards that he was probably going to stay. I mean, when you looked at he was very much involved, you know, certainly in the restart fixtures. You know, there were certain games that they used him because of his height and stuff like that.
Yeah, part of me is also hoping he's been working on his fancy footwork when he gets in the opposition box, because based on what he did last season, his fancy footwork resembled Bambi on ice. So let's hope he's managed to find his touch in front of goal or in the opposition penalty area, because that game you and I were really tempted. That was awful. I mean, I agree. I think it was always on the cards, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely. So yeah, and that brings us to the end of the Two Saints Show section of today's show on Yannick Vestergaard and all the other Saints transfer news. So, moving on from there, we'll be taking a very, very brief break. When we come back from that, we'll be doing our Two Saints preview of Saints versus Crystal Palace, coming up on Saturday.
The Two Saints Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday, 12 till 2, for informative football chat and great tunes.
Right, welcome back, everybody. So, the Two Saints preview of Southampton versus Crystal Palace. And in the fixtures last season, 2019... Sorry, the 21st of January 2020 when we played Palace, it was Crystal Palace 0, Saints 2. Goals from Nathan Redmond and Stuart Armstrong giving Saints the points. And back on the 28th of December 2019, it was a 1-1 draw played out at St Mary's. Danny Ings getting the equaliser. And despite Saints going flat out after Danny Ings' equaliser, unfortunately weren't able to score all 3 points. But most people remember the Crystal Palace games very famously for James Ward-Prowse managing to get Wilfred Zaha sent off at St Mary's. And also, obviously, Danny Ings continuing his goal scoring form when we played them as well, and showing the ability to get an equaliser just when you need one. Anyway, I'm actually saying that I think Saints are going to hopefully maintain the intensity they had when the season ended, and I'm actually going to predict I think it's going to be a 3-0 win for Saints, Mark, provided we put a strong team out. But it has got to be the strongest 11 possible.
All I would say, Mark, is that. I mean, obviously, you're talking about last season. I was there, and obviously, it was about. It wasn't there was no sending off, but it was the chant of he's got Zaha in his pocket.
Right.
JWP obviously played along by looking in his pocket to see if he was there or not.
Yeah, when I refer to sending off, that's obviously the last time we played them at St Mary's prior to. Obviously, people remember him getting sent off at St Mary's is what I meant. Obviously.
Yeah, but just to say, I mean, you would be hopeful that we can get a result. I mean, I think it's time for to start off on the right foot. I mean,
absolutely right.
You know, the thing is we've had 3 wins in about 31 opening day games. 3 wins, you know. Right. 31, 32
But the thing is as well, Crystal Palace have not recruited anybody, in fairness. All they've done is they've actually got Nathan Ferguson in from West Brom, who's a centre-back on a free transfer. Jake Giddins, a defensive midfielder on a free transfer. The only player they've actually paid a fee for is the attacking midfielder Eberechi Eze from Queen's Park Rangers, 16 million. And they've got quite a raft of injuries leading up to the game as well. So it's really prime for Saints to actually kick off with a win, first game of the season. It is prime for them to do that. Unfortunately, that's what worries me. It is prime for that to happen. If we get the right Saints team turn up, then it's 3-0 to Saints. But you never know what you're going to get, do you? Unfortunately, and that's the life of a Saints fan, isn't it?
All I would say, Mark, is from my perspective. I mean, I didn't read too much into Crystal Palace not doing too much business. I mean, obviously, Isse and Zaha, you know, they're going to be the main threats. You know, they're going to be hopefully their star performance performers for them.
The thing is, for me, we don't know how Zaha's going to perform because he wanted out, didn't he? And he's wanted out for a while, so he's not going to be too happy.
Yeah, but I mean, he wants out every window. But the thing is, the canny man that he is, he gets an improved contract every window. But I don't want to focus too much on that. I mean, all I would say is yes, you're right. They haven't brought too many bodies in. They played it sort of safe in the sense of their core players they gave new contracts to. And that's what they kind of concentrated on over the summer. I mean, for me, on the face of it, they've brought in Batshuayi from Chelsea, and he's coming on loan yesterday. So hopefully, that doesn't sort of affect us in any way. But having said all that, Mark, I would still expect us to go there. If the pretension is that we're going to have a good season, or a solid season, I think you got to be looking to beat them. I mean, Saints in recent years have had good form there. They've won 3 out of 4 games. So even though I think one was a Stephen Davis 1-0 win, and we also had Pierre Højbjerg scored there 2 seasons ago in a 2-0 win. So recent good history, and hopefully we turn the form book of the opening day season fiasco, 3 wins in 32 games, I think it is, on its head. But Absolutely. they need to be doing, they need to be winning this game. Yeah. Let's make no bones about it. They need to be winning this game on Saturday.
Yeah, this is a bit like when they came back from the lockdown situation. Project Restart, when we came back, send out a strong message from day one. They did it at the restart, and this is basically what they've got to do again. They've got to reset, and they've got to do Project Restart all over again, theoretically. Start with that intensity they started there with, and they should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, all I would say is I hope that Ralph's calmed down, because Ralph was livid this week when Stuart Armstrong came back from international duty with a quad injury.
But he's also had Ings and Ward-Prowse away, hasn't he?
And of course, the thing is Stuart Armstrong's going to miss out. But hopefully, besides that setback, hopefully they should have enough. But I was fairly confident before I realised that Stuart Armstrong was going to be missing on Saturday because, he's going to put out his best starting 11. I'm a bit more resonant now because Stuart Armstrong was a key player for the winning Crystal Palace last season. I mean,
Armstrong's missing, but do you think this is a really good opportunity for Djenepo?
It may well be. I mean, the thing is it's the right time of year for him because he likes early season. He can do the old trickery and bit of a speed merchant and sort of, he can ping one in the top corner a la Sheffield United or Brighton or whatever. Yeah. But really, yes. I mean, I think I probably would play him tomorrow. I mean, I have a funny feeling that it's going to be Romeu, Ward-Prowse, and then they're going to put Smallbone out on that right-hand side. Do you
not see Ralph trying to be a little bit more positive? Do you not see him going with Redmond on one wing, Djenepo on the other, Adams and Ings up front?
Oh no, I would definitely agree with you that way of going would be much more attacking, and given the raft of injuries that Crystal Palace have, but it's obvious to me that Stuart Armstrong was key for the manager because he was not happy that he came back injured.
The reason I listed those 4 up front or in the forward positions is the fact that obviously last season away from home, attack seemed to be the intent, didn't it? So, if that's the intent he's going with again, then obviously Djenepo, Redmond, Ings and Adams would be the 4 you'd want up there, really, wouldn't they?
Well,
Shane Long going to start ahead of him.
Yeah, well, Mark, all I would say is it's like the old adage says, the best form of defence is attack.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is why I'm going for a repeat performance from last season's game at Crystal Palace, and I'm going for a 2-0 win on Saturday.
Sounds good to me. And I think that's a really good place to end our preview of Saints versus Crystal Palace, which is going to happen on Saturday. So make sure you tune into Radio Silent for that, everybody. Or if you're lucky enough to be able to get it on the TV somewhere, enjoy that. We're certainly going to look forward to it. And the Saints definitely going to go marching in again. So anyway, on to the next topic. I think we're going to give you some news of breaking news coming out of the club over the last few days. Right, welcome back, everyone. So we're moving on to news that there could be a possible takeover, a possible £200 million takeover of Saints in the offing, involving American investor Joseph de Grosser, former owner of Bordeaux in France. US investor plans Premier League club takeover to recreate City Football Group is the headline. And it's American investor Joseph de Grosser and business partner Hugo Varela have revealed ambitious plans to create a global group of soccer clubs and academies, starting with an English Premier League team. With the pandemic hitting the finances of all soccer clubs, de Grosser sees an opportunity to snap up teams at a discount of between 50 to 70%. He's chairman of Florida-based GACP Sports, which sold out a French League One club, Bordeaux, in December, 13 months after leading a takeover. The company also owns SoccerX, the world's largest organiser of soccer business. From a macro point of view, we believe football over the long term is a great investment, he told Forbes in an interview. It's a particularly opportune time, given what's happened to the coronavirus and effects on the global football industry. We think clubs are going to be hard-pressed to survive in many cases, and there will be some opportunities, possibly to acquire some really strong clubs in terms of on-field performance, but that are possibly financially distressed. Similarly, you have an opportunity to acquire some world-class players at a fraction of what they would otherwise cost. Anyone who comes in with dry powder in this environment with a view to the medium to long term is going to be well rewarded. Both de Grosser and Varela, a former professional player, agreed to plans to recreate the best aspects of City Football Group in their platform, Capital Football Group. Beginning with an anchor club, ideally in the English Premier League, they intend to add 3 to 5 satellite clubs and up to 10 academies in Asia, Africa and South America. City Football Group, which has 8 clubs, including the flagship Manchester City, was valued at £4.8 billion in November. However, while Manchester City account for more than 80% of City Football Group's revenue, Varela said Capital Football Group satellite clubs would not be set up to feed the anchor club. Each club will grow and have individual success on their own. The investors said they're eyeing up clubs in Spain's La Liga, Portugal, Brazil and the US as possible satellites. The anchor club is unlikely to be one of the Premier League's top 6. Because of the situation, there'll be clubs in the second tier that are more open to offers. What do you make of all that, Mark? It sounds fairly interesting.
I mean,
a bit worrying, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that you're going to have academies basically around the globe, a bit a la Ajax or Barcelona. So that appeals to me. Yeah. Well, what I don't sort of get though, Mark, is he reckons he's going to acquire clubs at 50%, 70% less. I mean, from what I see, he's paying the going rate for Southampton. The Chinaman wants £200 million, and it would seem that they're going to be paying £200 million.
Everyone's suddenly going to be like, oh, yeah, Saints are worrying about money, Saints owe money, and blah, blah, blah. That people are going to worry about it. But they've also said that they want to make sure they build a platform so that when they're ready to do it, it can go public and it will succeed. And what they've also said is the idea is to have all the capital in place before they do it. And then they're going to allocate about 2/3 of that for acquisitions and then leave a third or more for capital as dry powder, as they call it. And they're saying the whole key is to have dry powder, as they call it, after initial acquisitions are done, so they can build world-class teams at a time when not a lot of other people can do that. So thematically, it's all about playing offense when the rest of the world is playing a different game, which, it's a fairly good approach, I guess. But, you do want to keep your powder dry. Definitely, you don't want to be giving too much away as to what your plans are, do you? Because everyone will start copying.
But anyway, all I would say about it is I'm sorry, mate, I have a degree of caution about it all.
Absolutely, so do I.
At the end of the day, the club has a debt of around 70 million, which at the minute is serviceable because, I think it's Dale are sort of helping us with that in regards to any sort of debt that's going to be incurred. But the problem I probably have with this is that it's going to encourage, okay, so the takeover might happen, but basically we're encouraging even greater debt because the belief is that with coronavirus and everything else, there's going to be, he said it himself, Joseph said it himself, there's going to be bargains out there. The thing is I don't want to have a situation where Southampton get into double the debt.
No, I understand that. It's very important. I'll read out the next couple of paragraphs because I'd like to cast people's minds back to Nicola Cortese. Okay. Now, when Nicola came to the club with Marcus Liebert, Nicola was actually tasked with looking after Marcus's money. He was basically entrusted with looking after Marcus's money and making sure it was done in the correct way. Now, what both De Grosser and his associate have said is, first and foremost, we're fiduciaries for other people's money. Regardless of our personal feelings, we have a responsibility to protect the capital we've been entrusted with, and that's our primary focus, he said. Having said that, we both love the sport and would both love to have a legacy. I don't think it's inconsistent to have a legacy of winning on the field and winning financially. That's why we think this is a particularly good opportune time to move, because we think we can accomplish both. Now, that's quite reminiscent of Nicola Cortese's philosophy in the fact that he was entrusted with Marcus's money and he was looking for Saints to succeed on the field, but also succeed financially, because obviously Marcus had made an investment. So there are echoes of that, but I, like yourself, Mark, am still a little sceptical, and I am concerned about doubling the debt, as you say.
Mark, I see the parallel, but there's another note of caution here as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, when he was at Bordeaux, and he's still fronting the same group as you say, right? But when he was at Bordeaux, he was only there for 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
I think he was only there for 12 months.
I'm aware of that. So, and when he left, they had a deficit of 50 million quid.
Alarm bells are ringing there straight away.
The biggest...
Look, don't get me wrong. I just want to state, I would prefer to see the Chinaman leave the football club, because for as far as I can remember, apart from maybe the first 18 months, right, to my mind, he's looked to actively sell the football club, right? And certainly for the last 12 months, he's took a hands-off approach. He said there'll be no new money, there's going to be no investment. You have to bring in, what you bring in, you can pay out in transfers, but there'll be no money coming from me. So obviously at the end of the day, when you read it at first, you think, yes, it's going to be brilliant getting rid of the Chinaman. But when you delve further into it, I mean, it sounds great. That article sounds absolutely fantastic. And that's how I would like to see our club in the future. Yep. But I have reservations in the sense, like, if you're only at a club for 12 to 18 months, it sounds a little bit like cutting and running.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, well, it's two things for me. I'm just in summary, because I'm just going to sum it up for myself, and then obviously, you can sum up if you need to. For me, in summary, couple of things. Don't get carried away, everybody, one way or the other. Don't get carried away negatively. Don't get carried away positively. It's a fantastic article in Forbes. It all sounds really positive, fantastic. On the negative, when he left Bordeaux after 13 months, whether it was him directly or the people at the club running it, they had a deficit of £50 million. Bear that in mind.
Exactly.
So don't take it positively and negatively too far. Keep your powder dry, as they say. Watch how it develops and then make your judgment then. Don't make a judgment now, because it could go one of either ways. It sounds positive, but Bordeaux did have quite a big deficit. So you've got to bear both of those in mind. Don't try and go too far one way or the other. I think for the moment, what we could all do is probably the best thing to do is for all of us to just sit on the fence for the moment and observe what happens, and then make a judgment nearer the time.
Thanks for pointing that out, by the way.
Okay, brilliant. Right, and that does it. So that brings to an end this Two Saints podcast show for today. Thanks for joining both of us. It's a goodbye from myself, Mark C.
And it's a goodbye from me. Everybody take care, look after each other, and stay safe.
You can find us on YouTube now. The Two Saints podcast show is our YouTube channel. Check out our latest podcast on there. You can also go onto our Facebook page, The Two Saints Show. On there, you can check out the podcast as well. You can send us any messages about the podcast or anything else to do with the show, and you can ask for a copy of that sent to you directly. The podcast is also now available via Acast, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We've also recently set up the Two Saints podcast show, that's the name of the league, a fantasy Premier League, and the code you need for that is LLV4C4. Please feel free to get involved on that. And also we've set up an email address for that league and also for the show itself. Please feel free to contact us about anything to do with the current Saints team, any questions you have about that, any questions about the Two Saints show or the podcast show, and that email address is the Two Saints podcast show at outlook.com. And all that's left for me to say is come on you Reds for Saturday, and hopefully we'll be having a really good chat about the fact Saints got a great result when we come back next week. Please join us again next week when the Two Saints go marching in again. Bye for now.